What I'm asking you to do is, if you disagree with me, then present your evidence to the contrary.
So, I'll be taking a temporary break off religion videos and instead touching on a topic that I haven't talked about in a while, which would be the rights and freedoms of GLBT people. Now, the last set of videos I made about this topic was a video response to a certain YouTuber named yngwoodsta, who spoke out against homosexuals, and he did make a video response back to me. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to respond at that time because I did have several projects. And by the time I was done with my own personal life, I'd completely honestly forgotten about it. But better late than never, right? So I think I'll kill two birds with one stone here, and not only refute what he said in his video response to me, but also what he said in his most recent set of videos, which are basically almost identical.
A lot of people, get offended when I refer to homosexuality as a mental illness. And in several videos, I've explained why it is that and I'm not a doctor, obviously. I'm a lay person, and but I'm a lay person who is not affected by the emotional wool that the media and those pro-gay organizations that are funded by very rich elite groups in this country or in the world. And I'm not affected by that. I can see through it. And I just think that it's my duty, since I can see through it, to bring some clarity to the issue.
Now, I already have a problem with the first minute of this video, and there are two problems, actually. The first one being that you say that homosexuality, or the pro-homosexual movement, is a conspiracy that has been started by government officials and people with power and people with money. Now, the main problem I have with this argument is, where's your proof? I have yet to see a single credible piece of proof provided in either your videos or videos like yours. And if this is supposed to be some sort of conspiracy by the government, it certainly is a really bad one, considering how many homophobes there still are. In fact, not all states in America have legalized homosexuality, to my knowledge. Several places in the world have not legalized homosexual marriage. They have not even recognized homosexual marriage as marriage. And by the way, I'd also like to point out one small detail. You said that when you look at homosexuality, you are free from emotion and from the emotional appeal that being pro-homosexual gives you. And that's not true, because all human beings are emotional creatures. So you can't exactly be free from emotion. You have to have some sort of emotion in you in order to form your bias.
Like I said, I don't claim to be a doctor, but it's not like you have to be a doctor to diagnose a mental illness. Some are more complicated than others. This one is pretty simple.
Actually, you kind of have to be a doctor in order to form a credible diagnosis, because you cannot form a credible diagnosis of a patient without a credible foundation of knowledge to base that diagnosis upon. That's like if I was a PhD in Christian studies, and I did not study sciences whatsoever in school, and I decided to teach science, and I offer up the excuse of, well, I don't need to learn anything about science in order to teach science.
Dis-ease is when you are out of sync in some way. And when I say that homosexuals are out of sync or in a state of dis-ease or mental illness, what I'm referring to is the fact that your body is designed for the opposite sex. Whether you believe it was designed by God, designed by evolution, it has an obvious design. I'll give an example. A hammer. If you're a logical person, you've never seen a hammer before, and I give you a hammer and a nail and a piece of wood, it may take you some time, if you've never ever seen it, never thought about the application of it, to figure out how it is used. You know, so it's not much you can do. But to a logical person, it's obvious that a hammer has two sides. Now, of course, it is your right, it is your option to take this hammer and hammer nails in with the wrong side and try to pull them out with the other side. And you can try as much as you want. And if that's what makes you happy, then you're right. That is your right. But is it correct? No. It's the same with homosexual sex.
You claim that for a homosexual, it is wrong to engage in homosexual sex because we weren't designed that way, and a penis was essentially designed to be inserted into the vagina, just as how a flat side of the hammer is meant to hammer in nails, as opposed to the forked end of a hammer. Why is that argument flawed? Well, the two objects are not mutually comparable. One is designed for a specific purpose, while the other is not. And which one is not designed for the specific purpose of procreation? The penis and the vagina. I've already pointed out to you at least 70 or so species of animals that engage in homosexual activity in nature without human interference. So, are you going to claim that this sex is wrong and unnatural when this happens in nature? You pointed out that sperm, when ejaculated into any other part of the human body, doesn't do anything. Then it's a clear indication that sperm only has one real purpose. And in this instance, you would be correct. But does that mean that homosexuality is morally incorrect? The answer is still no. If you really want to argue the unnatural aspect of homosexual sex, then I can counter by saying that, well, 90% of men and 61% of women masturbate, or have masturbated in their lives. Does that make them unnatural? Men get blowjobs. Does that make those men unnatural? Men have anal sex with women. Does that make the two unnatural? No, it doesn't. Because sex is not just for procreational purposes. It is for recreational purposes as well. So, technically speaking, I could consider all of those instances unnatural by your standards. But that's not the case now, is it? You have no issue with masturbation. You have no issue with a heterosexual couple engaging in anal sex or oral sex. And yet you have an issue with a homosexual couple engaging in mutual masturbation, anal sex, oral sex, whatever. So flush this out for me, because I really don't understand how you came to this conclusion. Ceteris paribus, the two situations are identical, except for the fact that one couple, there's a man that's attracted to a woman, and in the other couple, there's a man attracted to another man. So does this attraction to the same sex suddenly make unnatural sex methods unethical just for them? Because it sounds to me, and it really does sound like you're cherry-picking your belief.